Today I'm going to be talking about the Twilight Zone 2019, the first season, and full disclosure, I have never seen the original Twilight Zone. I've seen maybe half of one episode once, and that's it. So you are allowed to hate me for that, for having watched the CBS All Access 2019 Twilight Zone without having seen the original Twilight Zone, the classic show. That's a perfectly reasonable reason to hate me. You can leave this review now, or you can watch it knowing that I was unbiased entering this show, and I watched it simply as a television show and judged it as such, and therefore my review is not based on built-up expectations. Instead, it is just based on my experience watching television and what I thought of the show. So, what did I actually think of Twilight Zone? It was okay. I mean, it had some really good stuff and some not good stuff. It was very uneven as a television season. So if you're very unfamiliar with the Twilight Zone like I used to be, then basically this show is an anthology series where every single episode is a different story about a different person and something going wrong in their life and the weird fantasy elements. You could call it sci-fi if you wanted to, but I prefer fantasy elements of how that plays in, and every episode has some sort of a purpose. There is a reason they are telling that story. They want to give some kind of a message, and sometimes it's done well and sometimes it's really beaten over your head, and whether you think that's a bad thing is totally up to you. I think it depends a lot on how they execute the actual story, and ultimately, that happened unevenly. The first couple of episodes were really solid, and then there were some more wonky ones, and then there would be a really great one, and it was just a very uneven experience watching this season. That being said, the lows were never horrible. The worst episode, I would say, was bad. By the way, that would be episode 8, 9, 10. That would be episode 7. That was, I would say, a bad episode. And that one, it just really didn't work for me. But the episode that preceded it was my favorite one, episode 6, and that one really did work for me. And that's the level of unevenness that this season can have. One episode can be just absolutely great, like, wow, I did not expect that. That was a really engaging episode, and then the next episode just won't work at all, and that's the level that we're dealing with here. So if I'm going to compare it to a modern comparison, such as a Black Mirror, and of course you would expect me to do that, Black Mirror has been called the modern Twilight Zone. Black Mirror is really good at not having misses. I would say that this new Twilight Zone is very much a hit or miss show with each given episode, but Black Mirror, they take their time, they do only a few episodes a season, and they manage to really craft those into really good stories, and I would say that there's maybe 2 episodes of that entire show that I would give a rating of less than 8 stars, because they put a lot of effort into them, making them as good as they can be. And that show I would not call a hit or miss. So I would say that show only occasionally misses, but this one is like up and down all the time, and maybe they didn't take enough time to really craft these stories and form them in a way that was just engaging and told a message that didn't beat you over the head. And that's possible. Maybe they should just take more time with the second season. Maybe they should do less episodes. It's hard to say exactly, but I would personally prefer if next season was, just 6 episodes, and we see if they manage to just focus on those ones and just make better stories, because they can make really good stories. I really liked episode 6 of this season, but they can also have some really lousy ones. So if you're looking for some interesting sci-fi fantasy elements, they're going to be here. There are some episodes that I found really engaging. I would say there were about 5 or 6 good episodes, right around there. But then there's just some real misses. So if you're looking for this and hoping that it does live up to the original Twilight Zone. Well, first of all, I haven't seen the original Twilight Zone, but I expect it doesn't, because I imagine, as it is a classic TV series, that it is not as hit or miss as this one, although I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak for it. But yeah, this show, it has some really good parts and some quite bad parts, but overall it is an enjoyable show, and I didn't regret watching it. I don't know if I'm going to come back for the second season. I probably will, although it won't be high on my list of shows that I need to get to. But I will ultimately probably come back for a second season and see if they do improve. And since we're talking about this, I might as well talk about Jordan Peele as the narrator for this show. And I do think he does a solid job. He gives this performance that's very distant, but also it feels like he always knows what's going on, of course, and he's, telling you what's up, but he does a really good job at just having this just mysterious nature to him, which is, I imagine, a relatively easy thing to pull off, but regardless, he does it nonetheless, and I just think he has this good cadence to him, this manner of speaking that works quite well, and it's not quite perfect, but I do quite like it, and ultimately, I just enjoy Jordan Peele in this show, and he's maybe my favorite aspect. I don't really know what else I would attribute my favorite aspect to being. But he is solid, and there are some quite solid episodes. And if you just wanted to say watch episodes that you wanted to only watch the good episodes, I would say watch the first 2 episodes, watch episode 6, and watch the last one. And the rest of them are more hit or miss. Oh, actually, episode 3 is pretty solid, but a lot of them are just some elements that work and some that don't. But if you are gonna watch the whole show, then you know what, go for that. I don't not recommend this show. I mean, it is enjoyable. Overall, the Twilight Zone season 1 was uneven. It had some really strong episodes and some not so strong episodes, but it shows promise and hope for the second season, that hopefully they can improve upon these elements and bring it together to make a really strong and successful second season with some great storytelling and some wonderful narration by Jordan Peele. So this first season of The Twilight Zone is enjoyable, but it has quite a couple of missteps in there, and I am going to give the first season of The Twilight Zone a rating of 7.25 out of 10. So have you seen the first season of the 2019 Twilight Zone? Have you seen the original? Are you never going to see this show because you just object to it? What is your stance? Have you seen it? Have you not? What do you think about it? I am curious about any thoughts that you may have, but those are my thoughts. First in the Twilight Zone, it was a little bit disappointing. I was hoping it was going to be a bit better, but it had enough good episodes that I couldn't be completely disappointed by it. If, say, every episode was a 7 out of 10, that would be more disappointing than the hit or miss nature of this first season, I would say. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. I enjoyed it, and I'll probably watch the second season. So that's going to do it for now, folks. I've got some more reviews coming out soon. I'm going to be reviewing Veep Season 7, probably Good Omens, possibly Star Trek Discovery, if I can bother. I don't know if I want to. I like this more than Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I'll say that for free. Yeah, quite a few things that I'm going to be reviewing very soon, as well as many Doctor Who videos, and I'll be giving you a full review of Game of Thrones Season 8 very soon here. But that's going to do it for now, folks. Thank you for watching. Take care, and have a lovely week.